Dude, it looks so good. Look at all this blur, this depth of field. It looks so good. I'm stoked, I gotta be honest. I spent a lot of money upgrading my gear, my stream, my setup, my cameras. It's just, I get on an entire rant, but you wanna focus on what you're upgrading, which is your game. You wanna talk about the SCUF Prestige and see whether or not it's worth the upgrade, whether or not it's worth the price, and we're gonna talk about it. Now, for me, I was so sick of playing claw grip. I was sick of either playing with claw grip or jumping from the right stick to jump, or jumping from the right stick to slide. And I recently upgraded to the SCUF Vantage 2, and I'm in love. You guys know me if you used to watch my channel. I used to play double claw grip, but not anymore. I have bought into the SCUF ecosystem, and they are only feeding the addiction. They saw my review, and they sent me out a SCUF Prestige for Xbox and PC, and I gotta say, I'm really impressed. Now, that being said, just because they sent me a controller for free doesn't mean anything. My integrity as a reviewer and as someone in competitive gaming completely takes priority. So I'll tear it apart, you know, where it deserves it, but you're gonna find out it's actually done really, really well. And when you talk about hundreds of dollars of controller, do we wanna talk about the SCUF, the Vantage, or the Xbox Elite? We're gonna get into some of that discussion here in a bit. And you can specifically see where, up here in the top right-hand corner of your screen, we've got the Don't Waste Your Timeline. That's gonna tell you where we're gonna talk about things, when we're gonna talk about them. Feel free to jump around. We're not gonna do an unboxing. If this does bring you value, make sure to like and subscribe, because it does take away from some of my watch time, but I'm here for you guys. Two little things before we get started. One, if this does help you make a purchasing decision, please use code Isaac in the SCUF store. Right now, it'll get you 5% off your entire order. During special times of the year, it can get you upwards of 10% off. And while I'm not paid to make this review, I do get kickbacks from the code, so I'd really appreciate it. Second thing, like I said earlier, I am a competitive gamer first. Obviously, I take a lot of pride in this tech review, making sure everything looks nice, but competitive gaming comes first no matter what. I will not lie to you about what will make you a better gamer. And if you look through all my previous videos, I frag, I do all right, I click some heads. So that takes priority over, you know, me just being a techie. So with that being said, let's take one more look. God, it looks so good. There she is in all her beauty. The SCUF Prestige for Xbox and PC. As you saw from that clip, you can customize everything in this controller, from the buttons to the thumbsticks to the D-pad to the anti-friction rings, and despite all that customization, it still feels so solid in the hands. On the backside, you have the iconic SCUF paddles, which will give you that competitive edge, and then a built-in rubber grip that really gives it a more tacky feel. Now, as I was talking about earlier, for a normal player, if you want to press a face button, you have to take your hand off the right stick, which means you can no longer aim. What a SCUF allows you to do is remap those face buttons to the back, to where you can squeeze them with your middle finger or ring finger and stay aiming the entire time. To remap the paddles, you simply place the SCUF magnet on the back of the controller, hold the paddle you want the button mapped to, press the associated face button or any other button on the controller, release both of those, remove the magnet. Now whenever you press that paddle, it'll activate that face button. Another great feature of the SCUF Prestige is the ability to turn on and off your hair triggers with the flip of a switch. This is really useful in games like Black Ops 4 Blackout, where you're going to be running from run and gun shooting, tap firing, to getting on an ATV and having to go full throttle. As you can see here, when you flip that switch, it allows full depression of the trigger, but you get to customize where that baseline is. I flip around to the other side and you can see I've got it dialed into where I would have a wicked fast hair trigger. This is great for any FPS game, and the way you do it is you take this small key that comes with the controller and you simply dial it in to your desired tension. Now, SCUF has incredible customization, not only through the aesthetics, but also through the functionality. As you can see here, you can pop on and off the thumbsticks. It actually comes with 2 additional thumbsticks whenever you order your SCUF Prestige. But my favorite part is picking out different faceplates. Swapping out different faceplates with different colored anti-friction rings really makes the controller your own. It's really simple. You simply lift up under a small notch under the faceplate, pop it off, and then pop on your new one. For me, if I'm ever having a rough game, I like to blame it on the faceplate and I'll swap in a new one, because clearly that was the issue, not me.
He's out front.
Now, as you can see here, I've got some gameplay that I'm going to roll in the background while I talk about some pros and cons. I'm going to swap out the faceplates so you can see what they look like. I was doing this on my stream, so feel free to check out my stream, shameless plug. Now, for me, this was a pretty seamless transition. I had gotten really used to playing with the SCUF Vantage, so switching over to the SCUF Prestige was pretty easy. For you, the first time you get a SCUF in your hand, it might be a little rough. But, like I said earlier, that takes a while to get used to, and then once you adapt, you're really never going to go back. I mean, there's a reason pretty much the entire pro scene of Call of Duty and really all of console gameplay uses the SCUF. Now, there are a lot of pros that I could go over, but rather than wasting your time with them, I'm just going to run through them really quick. So, pro number one, customization, both in terms of aesthetics on the site where you can build your own, you can make it beautiful, it's your own design, it's your very own controller. But also, you can customize the functionality, whether it's refining your trigger stops, throwing in a higher thumbstick, or adjusting the paddles to, be associated with the certain face button or D-pad button or whatever you want it to be, that is your very own. The controller works both wired and wireless. With wired, it comes with a 10-foot braided USB cable, and with wireless, it has a 30-hour lithium-ion battery. Of course, as I said, it works with both PC and Xbox, but it also works with mobile games as well. And I know it's kind of a gimme to say, but the controller works as advertised. We're going to talk about some of the alternatives later, but the fact that I can say that this controller works how it should is incredible. Now, the biggest pro that I want to talk about is the functionality of these paddles absolutely changes your game. Playing in a map like Shoot House 24/7 where you are running and gunning nonstop, it allows you to play that relentless, dynamic gameplay without, constantly having to jump off the sticks with your thumb, or you get really cramped up playing claw. You can play like this for hours at a time and just really kind of play this cracked out gameplay. Now, I have two small cons for this controller. The first is that it's a little tough to press the inside paddles. Now, the outside paddles are super easy to press, so I use those for jumping and sliding, which makes my movement really fast. And I use the inside ones for reloading and switch weapons, because I don't have to do those too dynamically. I'm usually doing that behind cover. Now, my last con is really nitpicky. I'm really struggling to find anything wrong with this controller, and one small thing I found is that one of my paddles is slightly quieter than the rest. It still feels the same, works the same. I can't hear it when I have headphones on, but I figured it'd be worth mentioning. Now, in this section, I'm going to compare the Prestige to the Vantage 2 and the Elite 2, which are its two biggest competitors in the Xbox market. First thing, Vantage 2, not only does it have consistent paddle clicks, but it's a little more solid, a little more tactile. Another pro for the Vantage 2 is it has a really solid housing built around where the USB cable goes in. For there, it's plastic on plastic, as opposed to on the SCUF Prestige, you're going to have that metal on metal. I mean, this is the way every other controller is built. The Vantage 2 just goes above and beyond. Now, one thing that is a considerable pro for the Vantage 2 is the fact that you remap via a slider on the bottom of the controller as opposed to a magnet. You never have to worry about losing that magnet. Now, the Vantage 2 you can customize on the fly by removing the rumble packs as you see fit. The Prestige you have to choose at the time of purchase whether you want them in or out. The Vantage 2 also kind of has this gimmicky feature where you can slide left or right to increase or decrease the volume of your headset, but frankly, I've never used this feature. Now, unlike the Prestige, the Vantage 2 cannot be adjusted on the fly. You have to take your hand off the controller, and you don't get that fine-tune adjustment of the hair trigger. You only have two settings. Now, if I were you, I would stay far away from the Xbox Elite version 2. It is a very, very rough launch, so much so that Microsoft has even came out and addressed the fact that their engineering team is working on solutions to all the issues that they're having. There's a thread on Reddit with over 3,000 comments of people explaining what lot number they have and what issues they're still having even after getting their controller warrantied. Things like face buttons are sticking or unresponsive, stick drift, analog sticks won't center, connectivity issues. The list goes on and on. If I were you, I would stay far, far away from this controller for the near future. Now, to wrap this thing all up, let's talk about whether or not this SCUF is worth it. Is it worth buying? Is it worth the $159 base price? Now, it's incredible, it's beautiful, you can customize it to be your own through the entire SCUF website, but I'm not going to pay $159 just to look pretty. It has to give me a competitive edge. And does it? Without a doubt. If you're not playing with claw or with a pro controller, you're at a disadvantage at a competitive level. But there are plenty of pro controllers out there that aren't reliable. So is the SCUF reliable? Undoubtedly, from my experience with SCUF, and then also the overwhelming reviews I'm seeing online positive for this Prestige, it's consistent. There's no point in spending nearly $200 on a controller if it's going to bite the dust or have sticky buttons or connectivity issues. Xbox Elite 2. You get my point. Now, let's talk about who this controller is for. If you're a PC player, frankly, I'd go with the Vantage 2. That little checklist that I was talking about, the Vantage 2 seems to be a little newer, has some better features, right? No little magnets, you just got an electric remapping button. I think the Vantage 2 is the way to go. It's got the same Xbox layout, whatever. Now, if you're an Xbox player, just go with this. It's so much more reliable than any of the other aftermarket controllers out there. Yeah, it's missing a few of the bells and whistles of the Vantage 2, but a lot of that stuff, like the little volume slider, you're not really going to use it. And frankly, I like the trigger stops better on the Xbox Prestige. Now, with all that in mind, there are two little things I want to bring up at the end. First off, there is the warranty. So you have an overall 6-month warranty on the entire controller. For the paddles, you have 12 months. And then for any accessories, you have 30 days. Now, that is obviously a smart warranty, right? You can't dump this in a tub of water, or you can't spike it like this guy. You got to watch this clip real quick.
I'm here, bro. I'm here.
I ran out of bullets! I ran out of...
Oh my god, dude, that
Over
guy
the hill?
just raged. So yeah, be smart with your controller. The warranty's not going to cover everything. And then the second thing is give it some time. If you're new to paddles, if you're new to pro controllers, it is going to take you a while. As a claw player, I found myself going back to the claw grip pretty frequently, but give it some time, you'll get used to it, and I promise you're going to buy into the ecosystem. The ergonomics are just so much better than either jumping off the sticks with your right thumb or using the claw grip. And that about wraps it up. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review. I spent a lot of time making it. If it helped you make a purchasing decision, if you want to go buy a Prestige or a Vantage or whatever it may be after looking at this review, make sure to use code Isaac in the SCUF store. It'll get you 10% off if you're watching this video soon, and later on it'll give you 5% off, which is the same you would get from any other big creator. If you have any questions for me, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I also announce giveaways and when I'm streaming on there. If you want to see more product photography, get to know me a little more personally, hit me up on Instagram. If you want to see this used live, make sure to check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/IcemanIsaac. And of course, make sure to subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to see more high quality tech reviews, if you want to see game guides, high kill game play, that was smooth. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming out in the future, both with tech and gaming. Guys, thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I appreciate your time, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.